It's been a minute since I watched something from the 90s here on my channel, and I am still wandering my way through the 80s and 90s when it comes to horror because they're not things that I am the most familiar with, but that does not stop me browsing for things that I don't think many people will have watched from this time frame. Like today's movie. Now, we've all seen movies about killer dolls. One of my favourite movies of all time happens to be one of the Chucky movies, so no, dolls do not scare me in the slightest. This movie is as old as I am. It literally came out the year I was born, and anybody from the 80s and 90s will tell you we grew up with dolls that looked way freakier than have ever been in any horror movie. But what sold me on Dolly Dearest from 1991 is the fact that the word comedy does not appear anywhere related to this movie, because I am so used to seeing doll movies have the words horror comedy attached to them. So when I found this one and it was like, oh yeah, it's a doll possessed by a devil child, sold. Dolly Dearest from 1991 is a supernatural horror. After Elliot, an American businessman, takes ownership of a doll manufacturing company in Mexico, strange things start happening to his family. Most noticeably, his young daughter Jessica develops an unusual bond with a doll she has found. The doll, possessed by an evil spirit of Sansa, a devil child, proceeds to terrorize the household and exert its influence over Jessica. Can Elliot free his little girl from the doll's supernatural grip? If you're new here, I go by Hordes, and if you're not new, welcome back. I talk about horror movies here on my channel on Mondays and Fridays. But as always, when it comes to watching movies that I have never seen before, I am now going to go and watch Dolly Dearest from 1991 off camera. So that way, if you two decide that you want to watch this supernatural doll movie, nothing will be spoilt for you, because nobody wants to watch a movie you've just watched somebody else watch from start to finish, because then you're going to know exactly what happens. And I keep it spoiler free here on my channel.
She's just a doll.
Imagine you come home one day and find a priest standing on your driveway, blessing/cleansing your house. Like, I get that Mexico is a very religious country, but if you did that in the wrong part of the UK, you would end up headfirst in a bin for trespassing.
He does buy all the groceries and hide all the bodies.
Dolly Dearest is a little bit Child's Play and a little bit Poltergeist, sort of mixed together, and then set in Mexico. So while this is a Child's Play knockoff, yes, there is a little bit of a difference going on here, because rather than being a child trying to get adults to understand that something is actually going on, and adults taking no interest whatsoever in actually finding out what is really going on, in this one, it is more a child is actively working with the possessed doll and is kind of possessed themselves. Like, in the first opening scene, you see an archaeological team physically crack open the tomb of this dead child's spirit thing, and then it escapes like little tendrils, like CGI drawn tendrils, which are hilarious. And this is all established in the first 2 minutes. Like, this is the direction that Dolly Dearest is going in. I do think that the plot with the whole Sansa, it's pronounced multiple ways in the movie, the whole, like, worship Satan plot isn't the strongest. And that is because you are fed breadcrumbs, like breadcrumb information about who these people actually were. You're told, oh, they want children, they are actively seeking out children, and that is about it. You're never told why. You don't know who these people were, when they actually lived, why this devil child was so bad that they felt the need to encase it in a stone tomb. None of that. No, it's just child was bad. Except that you've been told that child was bad. And I'm gonna need more than that. Like, there are many bad children in the world. There's many bad adults in the world as well, but we're not encasing them in stone tombs.
You guys are in a crisis. I'm on my way.
I was at least expecting something along the lines of, oh, we're actively seeking out children because we're sacrificing them to Satan, or youth is good and we need youth because power is in youth. No, none of that. No, just child bad. child bad.
He's only a child.
No excuse.
I would have liked more of the doll as well, who is just called Dolly. They didn't even name the poor thing, because the first 45 minutes, she's kind of just a stagnant doll who every now and then moves her head or moves her eyes around a bit. And this tends to be when she's with Jessica, or in one scene when she's gone a bit rogue and is in the factory at night. But it isn't until the later part of the movie where she actually starts to come into her own and you see her up and about and moving and, you know, being the creepy doll that you were kind of expecting her to be from the beginning. Like, you see the entity get out and you know it's going to end up in the doll factory, because the second they land in the doll factory, here's a shelf full of creepy dolls and nothing for about 45 minutes. Now, when she does start moving, yes, she does get her kills, all 2 of them. And they are themed around the factory and its sewing equipment, so I do like that tie-in. But I would have liked a bit more. She's not that terrifying, let's be honest. She is, though, the strongest part of the movie, as well as the 2 child actors. Now, Dolly is a puppet, and I love that she is actually puppeteered by lots of people. Like, it means that she moves around like an actual doll does when it's played with by a child. Like, to give an example, I love the Chucky franchise because of this, because if you didn't know, every time that you see Chucky in a Chucky movie or a Chucky episode of the TV show, not the 2019 remake, he is actually puppeteered by an entire team of puppeteers that do everything from make his eyes blink to make him move. And I love this, and she is the exact same. So she moves like an actual doll. One of my favourite things about her is when she runs like, have you ever tried to go somewhere like really quietly but really quickly, and you do the sort of really fast walk with your knees slightly bent? That's how she walks, and I love it because it's so funny, but like, it's great. I love that. It's so simple, but she moves and talks like you would expect an actual doll to talk.
It's just a doll.
She does remind me a little bit, though, of Stripe from Gremlins, which is never a bad thing because Gremlins is one of my favourite movies, in the way that when she's done something, you will often see her like peeking round things or peeking out from underneath things and being like, ha ha ha, I win. And yeah, it's very Stripe from Gremlins. And for me, I am always going to be team practical effects over team CGI, digital, that kind of thing. And all the effects in Dolly Dearest, besides the opening scene, are practical effects, which is a big points winner from me. Both the child actors in this are great, and I have no complaints about either of them. Candice Hudson, who plays Jessica, plays creepy, possessed child ridiculously well. Like, she's quite creepy, like really creepy. And what's worse is I've now seen kids these days who act the way she does, just being entitled kids, without the whole like demon possession thing. So yeah, that's creepy. And then brother Jimmy, who is your stereotypical like 90s nerdy brother. We're talking big glasses, fluffy hairstyle, really nerdy. He gets his moments in this as well. He gets paired with the archaeologist quite a lot. And then right at the very end, he gets really good moment. So props to Jimmy. Mum is another rare exception in horror movies. Mum's actually got eyes in her head, and Mum has realised that something is horribly wrong. So props to Mum for actually being a good parent in a horror movie. Dad though, Dad Elliot, maybe up for worst dad of the year in a horror movie for me, because when you hear your child threaten your wife and say, I will kill you, and your response is, I'm tired, I'm hungry, I'm going to bed. No, how about you sort out your demon-possessed child, and then fridge is downstairs, you know how to open it?
Hey, I'm just a sandwich.
I have to mention though, at one point, because it annoyed me, just because of how ridiculous it was, there is a scene at one point where Jimmy is being chased by a Rottweiler, and it is the same 3-second bark that they are using on a loop, and it's not even a dog bark. I'm pretty sure that it is a person barking down a microphone, because it doesn't sound like a dog to me. And the Rottweiler, bless this Rottweiler, is running towards the camera with the happiest look on his face, like you've just thrown him a ball. Like, no, this dog bark was unnecessarily annoying for all the wrong reasons. No. Do I think that Dolly Dearest is scary? No. For me personally, no, because I'm not scared of dolls. But if you are somebody that doesn't like dolls, the ending of this may actually get under your skin a little bit. But the thing is, for me, this is more like spooky vibes and less like straight up scary. Because a lot of the scares in this, like I said earlier, are linked to jump scares, which once you've had one, you kind of become a bit immune to them after that. And I would even go as far as to say that I think if you are someone who is trying to get into horror or hasn't seen that much horror, that Dolly Dearest is actually quite a good starting point if you want to explore the like creepy doll kind of subgenre, because it doesn't really do anything new or different within the subgenre, but it's also not the scary side of the creepy doll subgenre. So this movie is less scary than The Mummy from 1999. Like, that's my yardstick. When it comes to recommending movies that I think people should watch when they're starting to get into horror, watch The Mummy. Just, if you can watch a man get his face sucked off, not in that way, then you can watch a lot of like intro horror. Like, that's my comparison. In the end, I am actually going to give Dolly Dearest from 1991 a 2.5 out of 5 stars. And that is because I do think that this is good for a single watch. But if I had seen less things within the creepy doll subgenre, I would probably have liked this movie more. It just doesn't do anything new to help it stand out within this subgenre. And it is very obvious that it is very, very cherry picky from two great big heavy hitters from the 80s, being Child's Play and the Poltergeist franchise. So there you have it, my initial thoughts and my review for my first time watching Dolly Dearest from 1991. If you've also seen this movie, I would love to know what your thoughts and opinions are down in the comments section down below. If this is one that you would be interested in watching though, I will leave a link to justwatch.com in my description bar where you can see where it is streaming in your country. And if you would like to know every single horror movie that I watch, not just the ones I talk about here on YouTube, you can also find me over on Instagram and Letterboxd at Hordes of Horror, where I have already watched over 120 horror movies this year alone. Or maybe even stick around and join the Horde here on YouTube. But I will be back on Friday, and this time we're going back another decade and we're going to the 80s, where I found a movie about a genie in a museum, which is known by one name in my country and another name everywhere else worldwide. So until next time, bye.
You